Welcome to this conversation with the Morning Tea Marketing. This is where we get together and hopefully you find that we offer valuable tips, whether it's business or life skills. We're talking finance at the moment. Your hosts are Narelle Gaddy. Narelle is an accessibility auditor, accredited accessibility auditor. I am Janine Vosper. I help people tell their stories and get them out to the world. Lara Arden is our business awards coach, and Jan Roche business is BizConnect Web Design and Over 50s Health. We've been talking finances for the month, and Lara is our final one wrapping it up. I'm looking forward to where you're going with this today, Lara. Hi, ladies.
Oh, hello,
Hi.
everybody.
Good afternoon. Yeah, hello.
Well, I'm reminded of a quote that just popped into my mind that I saw on a friend of mine's Instagram. This is a long time ago, and she said one time, "Show me the money, and I'll be your honey."
I like it.
And I just wonder, well, what does that mean for each one of us? And because we are wrapping up the end of a financial year, and we are looking forward into the beginning of a new financial year where we would like to see more money come into the business. We would like to see more money come into our lives, and also we'd like to see more money go into the lives of those that we serve as well, knowing that we're here for them and for each other. And also, looking to see that prosperity grow amongst our colleagues and our friends. A rising tide lifts all boats. So it's nice that we can grow together. So I just wonder, what do you look forward to in this next 12 months? And where would you like to see more money in your business or in the world? Like, what do you see happening around you? What have you got to look forward to?
I think for me, I'll go first. For me, it's more people knowing about digital accessibility and understanding why it's so important. And yes, that will bring us money, but it's not about the money. It's about people being able to communicate
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
effectively, and I should say effectively.
Yeah.
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 And thank you for reminding us as well, Narelle, that, just like money is one form of exchange, so is communication. And if we don't have that communication, then what exchanges are we missing out on with people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me, my vision statement is to enable people to do what they don't believe is possible. That's
Nice.
what rocks my boat every single day.
Wow.
And so for me, the more people I help, the more people that can achieve that result, that they can do things that they didn't think they could possibly do. I spoke to a prospective client today. It's one of those ones we were talking earlier in the month about finding, with the SEO, finding me online. It's a doctor who he's trying to get to be an orthopedic surgeon, and they have to go through exams, and he knows he's blown. No, it's not interviews, sorry, not exams. And he's blown the interview twice now.
Oh.
And he can only do that once a year, and he's only going to do it one more time. And it's all about conversation and communication.
Yeah.
wow.
And so, and he just doesn't feel like he can communicate well, and just so that for me is, if I can work with him to help him achieve his goal and his, what he's been training for probably 10 years, to achieve that with the skills that I have. And that's the thing, is we all have our own skills, isn't it? And to be able to use them to help other people achieve the results they want. So for me, that's it. And of course, then it brings in income. So, there's components of it, is what it does for others brings it back to you. And I've always been in that mindset. The more grateful I am, and the more people I help, the more money I earn.
So great.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of a quote by, was it Zig Ziglar, who said, you can have anything you want in this world as long as you help the people that there are, that to help them get what they want, then you can have whatever you want. Yeah, something along those lines.
When I'm doing sales coaching, I say I've never sold anything to anybody in my life. I just make it really easy for people to buy from me.
Yeah,
the same sort of thing.
That's it.
And isn't it great that when you're doing stuff that you love, like helping people, helping them to grow, helping them to get what they want, and that it turns out wonderful ending that you get what it is that you're needing or wanting as well. I think that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
mm.
And yeah, it does make us money, but it's never about the money, is it?
No.
I disagree,
I mean,
because
you've
I
got to
think
pay the bills,
well,
but
we are in business to be profitable, right? Because
yeah,
we've got to make money. We do
yeah,
need to pay for our living.
yeah,
So, you know, it's okay to be altruistic and say that, you know, we can do everything without money.
yeah.
But I mean, even charities need money to be able to look after,
True.
you know, those who have none. So
And I do warn you, Narelle, you put that out to the universe quite a bit.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, it's
But
good to be altruistic
yeah,
and recognize that's a strength that you have as well.
yeah,
At the same time, there is no shame, there is no um there's no embarrassment in
yeah,
it being about making sure that your needs are looked after as well. And your needs can be you know, for you to be able to go on a holiday with your family every year, and that could cost $10,000. And that's
yeah.
okay. You know, like we
And
are here to serve and to make sure that we get served as well.
Mm.
and I suppose if our needs aren't met, we can't help others, and that's the big thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
It
good
starts with
point.
us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charity begins at home,
Well,
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
I know, and just on that point, I know over the years I've been able to help my sons out
Mm,
at different times in their life when they've been struggling.
mm,
And if I hadn't have put myself and my finances first,
Yes.
I wouldn't have been in a position to do it.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
doesn't that come back to the idea of, as a business owner, we need to pay ourselves first. Like,
Mm,
you know, the business wouldn't exist without us. So we have
yeah.
to make sure that we get remunerated as well, properly. You
Yeah.
know, it's like fertilizing the driver, making sure
Yeah.
that we get to grow.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's some very good points there. You know, you've got to fertilize the ground to get some decent food out of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I have a percentage of what I earn goes to charity. So I
yeah.
have a charity budget each year.
Mm,
Mm.
And if I earn more, then that more goes into that charity budget's percentage. So
yeah,
that works along those lines as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
So that's lovely, Janine. So I can hear that you're still meeting that altruistic need, you know, to want to be able to give back and to help, you know, let the money go to other areas as well, where it can still be of value and service to people apart from ourselves. And, you know, like what you were talking about before, Jan, with budgeting, how, you know, when we can, and also you mentioned it too, Narelle, when we can be aware of the money and where it's going, it's okay to, you know, say that, all right, well, I'm paying myself first, you know, like I've earned it, I've worked for it.
Yeah.
I deserve this. And so you put aside a certain percentage for you put aside a certain percentage for the business, because the business is the vehicle that, you know,
Mm.
gives us somewhere to go each day when we get up, and we've got a reason, an opportunity to serve. So we put some aside for the business, and that could be a part of that could be for marketing as well, for fertilizer,
Mm.
you know.
yeah,
And then we also put aside some for others, because we acknowledge that, you know, it's more than just ourselves in the world, that there's others who are also in need. And, you know, and then of course we have the expenses for the business, so that we're planning and putting aside for like a new computer or whatever other things are going to need in the future, and getting prepared for that.
It's
yeah,
all well and good to have this romantic idea that you can just go and help everybody and, you know, not put yourself first. But really, if you don't put yourself first, if you don't pay yourself first, you will be left with nothing, and you can no longer help those ones who you think you should just be helping. That's, again, that's great and wonderful. You don't need to be a martyr to help other people in really, you need to be putting yourself and your family first.
Yeah.
Before you then start helping others.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible to some, but the reality is, as responsible business owners and responsible adults, that's how we need to approach things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for saying that as well, Jan. I realize you're right. And, you know, it's interesting when we stop and think about these thoughts or these sayings, these ideas that we have, where did they actually come from? So one of the things I learned in reading, I'll just mention that book again, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, is he talks about how the general accounting system that we have, or I think it's called gap general accounting program, whatever. Anyway, basically he's just saying that that's set up for accountants and bookkeepers, with ledgers and balance sheets and profit and loss and all of this sort of stuff. And he says, but as business owners or as individuals, we never look at that stuff to know how much money I've got in the bank. And as he rightly said, we look in our bank accounts. That tells us how much money we've got in the bank. And similarly, when it comes to deciding where the money's going to go from the bank, if we set up those little bank accounts and we have some going, profit first, and then some money to ourselves as well, and then money for the expenses of the business. We've got to look after our suppliers, and that, and then money for charity too. Like that. It's just having the distribution and those little percentages, a little bit here, a little bit there, that it all gets ticked off and taken care of. So yeah.
So there's
Everybody
nothing
too.
wrong with the old days when, when I first got married 44 years ago,
Wow.
that you put an envelope with this amount for the insurance, and
Yeah.
each pay you split up and divided up what the year's insurance was going to be, and you put a percentage, you put that amount in that envelope. You had a folder full of envelopes.
Exactly.
They were when something came along, money was in the envelope to pay for it.
That's it. Exactly.
And profit first, it's the bank accounts, isn't it? Having multiple bank accounts.
It's the same thing with bank accounts.
Yeah.
The other thing
Remembered what I was
too,
gonna say.
We paid our house off in 8 years doing that, by the way.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It
A book
works.
that has been around for some time too. Roger Hamilton wrote a book called Wink.
Yes.
By extension, Wink and Grow Rich. And with our team, I encourage, further education thinking along different lines. And so The Richest Man in Babylon is one that I love. And Who Moved My Cheese is another one that's
that's
John
a good
Cleese.
one.
Yeah, and Wink is really good. So I just went to YouTube and found it and just played it in the background whilst I was working. So, I'm still getting some of it. I've read it before, so it was just a nice refresher, just a reminder to hear those things. And I don't think you can get a better book than The Richest Man in Babylon. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
The
Richest Man in Babylon, when I read that, Jan, I read it decades ago now, and I read it to my kids as they were growing up as well. It was one of the bedtime stories.
so good.
But they loved it and they remembered it. But one of the main things that as a takeaway that I got out of reading that book that I still think of today, that I learned, is that when it came to the guy wanting to know where to invest his money, the lesson that he learned was you invest it with people who invest their money in smart places. You don't invest it with people who who don't get a return on their investment. So pretty much he was teaching that the way you find out how to be smarter with your money is to go to people who are smarter than you. And we want to be doing the same things, for ourselves in our business, when it comes to our marketing, when it comes to our messaging, when it comes to our accessibility, and when it comes to our SEO as well. We want to be dealing and going to people who can help us, who are smarter than us, because they know the ways,
we all need a coach in whatever area it is, like whether it's a business coach or a strength coach or whatever it might be, a nutrition coach. We all need it. Even me as a coach, I have a coach.
Exactly. Because we can't know everything.
Different perspectives and different experiences is great.
Exactly. I remember what I was going to say about the general accounting system and how it's different to this idea of profit first, where you have your bank accounts or like the old envelope system. And so the reason why the general accounting practice only works for bookkeepers and accountants is because they have a system where they make sure that all of the suppliers and the creditors are paid first, and then they put aside whatever is left for profit. Whereas, so there's more months than there is money. So so when we can flip it and make sure that we're putting aside the profit first and then we live off the rest, that's when we get smarter at being able to see where we can, make use of the resources that we've got. And also put some of those resources. You go, Nora.
Yeah, and it really comes back to, I remember, gosh, I mean, all our first wages, I think people today would be horrified if they heard about our first pay packets, because I think
Mm.
$37. Thank you very
mine
much.
was $18, $19 because I was a student nurse. And that was
Wow.
our, well, and you know, we had to board in the nursing thing, so that was automatically taken out. But $18, $19, and you know, we still saved
Mm.
because we
Mm.
didn't have anything, so we just
Yeah.
saved.
Yeah.
And it was always automatic, wasn't it? You always put
Yeah,
$1 aside or whatever it was.
Mm.
that's
Doesn't
it.
seem
Too much of
now.
the gratification. We get everything and then pay it off later now. Whereas, you know, those years ago, if you didn't have the money, you didn't buy it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's a
Yeah.
little
That's it.
different now. But if you are still, if you're working to a budget, if you've got everything under control like that, you've got enough cash flow, then sure, maybe you can go and buy something and pay it off, vehicle, whatever, house, whatever. But if you're causing lots of trouble physically and mentally in your life because you haven't got those things in the right order, then there's something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
and
me, yeah.
And
That's
there's no
very much
shame
what I
in-
was saying about planning ahead too, Jan.
Yeah.
Now, you know, getting to my age that everything's paid for.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that you've got a lot less concerns about
Yeah.
finances. It just
Yeah.
means that you've set yourself up
Mm.
Yeah.
That's it.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to help me get ahead so I can be in your position, Janine, that's what I aspire to. I look forward to that. I'm actually meeting with a money coach this month. That's one of the things I put in place for myself this month that I want to do, because, you know, I respect that we didn't learn this stuff in school. You know, that wasn't the objective for us to be financial literate.
And it's still not taught now, right?
Correct. So
Yeah.
that means that the onus is on us, all right? And if we have to, you know, own that responsibility of adopting what it is to learn and understand about, you know, financial literacy, then we just start with the basics, and whatever we don't know, that's where we reach out and we say, okay, you know, help. Like, I recognize you're someone smarter in these things than I am, so I'm going to come to you.
Yeah.
And you know, it takes a bit of humility to be able to reach out and go, well, let's, you know, like, I'm not doing very well in that area. Can you help me?
Yeah. No, that's really clever of you
Mm.
to do
Yeah.
so. I
Yeah.
just realized I've been doing the profit first forever. I just hadn't realized it. I just have automatic money comes out.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
And as we mentioned in the first one, I think I got my tax bill, which I hadn't paid for. So yeah, that's where it went out of. But the money was there.
There you go. Beautiful.
Didn't go into panic because
Yeah.
the money was there.
And
That's it.
actually in the profit first system, you know, like when you read the little breakdown of where you can put a percentage here for that, a percentage that, I think that it starts out that, you know, if you can put aside 15% for tax, and that,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
I
that
should have. I just
Yeah.
forgot that I had to pay it.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's an opportunity for us to learn and grow, right?
Yeah, put the BAS away. As I
Doesn't
just
it mean
mentioned on
that you
thing,
made
the
a
BAS
profit?
away, no problem.
Doesn't it mean that when you get a tax bill, you've made a profit?
Oh, look, I'm never worried about them, and especially when I was working at PAYG, I used to think, my God, what an amazing year I've had. I paid this much money, I paid that much tax. It's all good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, oh, that's
And I
great.
think, yeah,
It's all
that's
good
what I'm-
reminders.
Yeah, I was going to say that this has been brilliant this month. The
Yeah.
discussion's just been great.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
certainly
thanks,
not just
ladies.
boring money, finance stuff. There's been
No.
lots of other content in there, which has
Yeah.
been awesome. So we've had a few books that were recommended. So what was the book
Yep.
that you recommended, Lara?
Profit First by
Profit.
Mike Michalowicz.
And Narelle?
Yeah, Richest Man in Babylon, my
Yeah,
go-to.
it's a classic.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Jan?
Well, I spoke about a couple. Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
a good
about,
one.
you know, adapting to change and whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe not so much finance. And the other one is Wink by Roger
Yes.
Hamilton.
I think I've read that years ago. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, it just sounds really familiar.
And you can listen to it on YouTube. The narrator is, oh, I know his name. I've met him. I've spent time with him. What is his name?
Was it not Roger Hamilton? Who
No.
read it? Okay.
No. He's been told that he has the voice of God.
Oh,
Oh, not Freeman. What's his name? Freeman.
No.
Morgan
oh my-
Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what was his name? What is his name?
There's a bloke called George or something, works at Brisbane Airport, and he's got a Barry White voice.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
A
That's
Barry
cool.
White
And
voice.
I'm
Uh,
not reading any non-fiction books at the moment. I'm into fiction. I downloaded Sherlock Holmes books and it was 60 something hours of books. It's a whole thing. So it was free.
Wow.
But I'm listening, and talk about great narrators. It's Stephen Fry, the
Oh,
actor.
wow.
oh,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, he
Yeah.
is absolutely brilliant, and
Yeah.
I'm loving it. So it inspires me to go walking, which is part of
Very
what I
good.
do as well.
Okay, I've found it's Paul Dunn.
All done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's also the co-founder of B1G1.
Oh, okay.
And he's done 4 TED Talks. Yeah, he's you listen to his voice. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a
You'll-
good narrator, it makes a difference with the
Yeah.
books.
Paul Dunn,
But-
DUNN.
And I know, Lara, you're going to ask a question so that when people go and check us out on YouTube, there's
Yeah.
a comment. Have you thought of a question for this?
Yeah, thank you
Sure.
for reminding me. So I would like to know for our listeners out there, is there a book that has impressed you when it comes to money or thinking about, financing or budgeting or just financial literacy? Is there a book that's impressed you? We'd like to know what that is. Would you share that with us in the comments?
And
Yeah,
it's not the ATO legislation.
definitely not. Thank you,
Best
ladies.
doorstop
Again,
ever.
just enjoyed it. It's been a fabulous topic this month. I'm looking forward to next month. What are we chatting about?
What's
No
the topic for
idea.
next month?
Crickets.
Cricket?
Silence.
Christmas in July.
I'm sure it'll be interesting, whatever it
Mm.
is, as we bring
Yeah.
everything to the table.
Yeah.
And as I said, go to the YouTube channel for the Morning Tea Marketing Misses and leave a comment. And we'd love to hear from you, and write down what books that you've been listening to or reading that will help you with your financial literacy. And we'll say goodbye, and hopefully you'll join us next time for another conversation. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.